All right, welcome back.
I know it's nice to be back. We just
uh,
go so long. That's what it is, David. We're talkers. We're talkers.
we're talkers. And man, I tell you, um, like your interview, it just reminds me of how like energizing it is for me to interview really fascinating people. It's just, yeah,
Aw,
it just pumps
you're
me
the
up.
sweetest.
Thanks. And as I said before, we got recording, just to kind of remind myself, because it's been a couple of weeks now, like where did we leave off? Just watching the last 10 minutes. I'm
Hmm.
again, I'm like, damn, this is good stuff. She just has so much value to provide. So
Oh,
yeah, again, uh, thank you, and I'm really pumped to build on this. What we ended off last time,
hmm.
um, you were giving some great, really just, career advice, especially to young professionals. And then as part of that, you talked about that transition and getting laid off and, feeling like a big loser. And since layoffs are becoming, more part of what's
A
going on, right?
thing.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
thing. Can you talk more about how you like got yourself out of the funk, dusted yourself off, got back on the horse, all those
Yeah.
cliches.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll take you through step by step because I think there might be some insight to glean here for the listeners. So I think it's always important to take a day to reflect, right? So, it's happened. It's very unfortunate. Obviously, and it's so funny. I saw on LinkedIn someone called it professional heartbreak. So I can't take credit for that, but they called, and I was like, wow, that is so relevant for what it's called because we are, especially as Americans, right? We're a bunch of workaholics. I'll definitely talk for myself about that. And I am so passionate and tied to the work that I do. And I do think whether you're male or female, like, work is a big part of our lives, right? So I think taking a day to, you know, cry, feel sorry for yourself, whatever you want to do is fine. But then what always makes me feel better is going into action. Like, and when I say action, what is it that will kind of start to pull you out of this? So for me, at that time, I was definitely younger in my career. So I actually made a list of everything that I accomplished in that role. And really what I remember doing it. I remember sitting in my mother's house and putting it together, and it was like a bulleted list, and that's what helped me write my resume. I was able to put that together. It's funny, the Cabrini, well, it's Cabrini University. It was Cabrini College when I went there. But Cabrini set me up for such success because I had taken a career services course on how to write a resume. And I just pulled back on that and I was like, you know what, let me just put this list together. So I did that. I put my resume together and I started taking action. I started applying to roles. I think back then, I was definitely in a lower role, right? So like the higher up you are, the less roles there are. Like, director roles, there's probably I would say less than manager roles, specialist roles, which would be under manager. There's probably a lot more of those compared, right? So I think the added element was um, also networking. I actually was scooped up very quickly. So I really didn't have time to network, to be honest. But I will say that I did actually go for a job where it was a marketing assistant role. I believe it was for like a pharmacy tech company. And it was actually, so it was more assistant than marketing. I'll say it that way. Like I was probably going to do coffee runs and, make copies and whatever. And I just remember feeling like, so I actually got a rejection from that interview. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, like I can't even get an assistant role. And I remember like like I was in the shower, like crying about it, and I was like really upset. But then I started getting calls for other jobs that were more marketing focused. So I guess I truly believe everything happens for a reason. And if I had gotten that job and accepted that job, I would not be given the opportunity to join Turner Construction Company at that time and really set me up for success for my future roles. So I guess, you're going to get some no's, even if you're fantastic. Sometimes it's just not about you. Sometimes it's someone else is further down in the process, or someone knows somebody, or, like all of that just kind of plays into an account there. But also just know that if it's not meant for you, you're not meant to have it. And there's something better coming along the way.
I love it. I
Thanks.
love it. Yeah. And it's a great example of the stories we tell ourselves and how they profoundly affect our reaction to situations instead
Yep.
of yourself telling instead of well at first you told yourself a negative story
Hmm.
understandably like God I can't even get an assistance job and through experience and the state of wisdom you're in now, it's like that teed me up, that set me up, and
Yep.
for an amazing next position. Um,
It was worth the
yeah,
wait. It was definitely worth the wait. One other thing that I'm really passionate about, especially in today's day and age, is, I think a lot of people, especially hiring managers, they kind of want to like try before they buy, so to speak. So like, if you think about the experiences that you've had and how you provide value to organizations, start creating some content too. You could just put it right on LinkedIn and like really showcase what you know. You don't have to give away the secrets, right? But you definitely want to make sure that you are doing something that keeps your mind busy, but also at the same time shows your credibility and that, that creative and career chutzpah that you have, that's important. Resumes only talk so much, but most hiring managers will look you up on LinkedIn before calling you. Same with recruiters too.
absolutely. And I can't remember, and I want to link back to something else with the stories because that's such we tell ourselves it's so important. If somebody gets laid off, fired, time of transition. Did we talk about last time when you talked about showing your expertise on LinkedIn? Absolutely so important. Did we talk about the that saying demonstration beats presentation? Does that sound
No, we
familiar?
didn't, but I like
Yeah.
that though.
Isn't it great?
It
Yeah.
is great.
I
Yeah.
remember hearing it from, and I don't know if you ever listened to the podcast, I Love Marketing.
Hmm.
They're great. They're just,
Yeah.
yeah, they're so fun. And I think it was Dean Jackson who at least that's where I first heard it. And so rather than just trying to convince hiring managers like I could do the job, I could provide value, demonstrate it.
Yep.
Show how you know your stuff and how what you have to offer could help them. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
And it's really just as easy saying like, okay, in my last role, what key problems did I solve? And write about those. You obviously don't want to give away, your former employer's name probably, but like even think about, former projects that you were like tapped for, like understanding the value you provide will only make you more marketable, but then also at the same time be able to verbalize that to a potential hiring manager.
Absolutely. And I love what you said earlier about like, because I so agree with that in terms of um, writing down a list of your accomplishments, the results you created, because it's such a like a twofer. You're getting information for your resume and you're also
Hmm.
reminding yourself like, man, I am really good. Somebody would be lucky to hire me.
Exactly. Yeah, it was very therapeutic in that sense because I just remember thinking like, wow, yes, I've done a lot, but also at the same time, it was, man, like, yeah, I would definitely be worth something to another organization, to your point. And it feels good. And I always look, like, I remember even like looking up at that time, like strong action words for your resume. If you Google that, like you'll find some good stuff in there.
That's great. Um, a couple of things. So
Mhm.
one is I want to highlight because it's such an important takeaway of back to the word action
Mm.
of like you gave yourself some time to feel sad, grieve, etc., and then you whipped into action. And for the viewers slash listeners to Google small wins in Teresa Amabile. So Amaibile, former Harvard professor.
Ooh, I
Yeah,
love that.
it's just some great research on exactly what you did intuitively is if we're feeling despondent, low energy, quote, negative, whatever, do some kind of action, however small it is. And just having that win shifts our biochemistry. So now we feel more empowered, more optimistic, etc. So that's super
Mm.
useful advice. Oh, you going to say something?
I, yeah, I mean, so the other thing too is, I also think in the job search process, a lot of people are like, I have to get a job right now. I have to do everything right now. I also think that there is value in taking a break, right? Like doing something else that you enjoy. Um, for me, and I don't really get to do it that much, but like the other day I was up early in the morning, and so I went for a run, and it was very therapeutic for me. It's something that's important to me to kind of keep healthy. It also, from a chemical standpoint, releases positive hormones, you know. So who doesn't want to be happier, and it really just set my tone for the day. But taking a break is just as valuable as keeping focus. And I think that's something that might be beneficial to your viewers and audience too, is like, it's important to say like, I'm kind of tired. I need to take a little mini break and then kind of keep at it.
Absolutely. In fact, it's so wild you're saying that because, as I mentioned before we started recording, I'm going to do a podcast in, well, hour and a half on resilience. And one of the things that I talk about is the importance of recovery. So, yeah, taking that break and how we come back stronger, more optimistic, more energized. Um, so yeah, and also one kind of fun fact when you talk about shifting your hormones and exercise, if you Google Kelly McGonigal and Jane McGonigal, so they're twins. Kelly is really big in the positive psychology world, Kelly in the video game world. And Kelly wrote a book, I can't remember the title, but it's on the value of movement and exercise for emotional health. And she was talking about research shows that when you exercise, it releases a biochemical that scientists are calling the hope molecule.
Wow. I
Isn't
love
that
that.
cool? Isn't that
That's so
cool?
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So absolutely the exercise. One quick thing, just to tie up the loose end, because um, the the takeaway in terms of the really useful meaning you have about that, that painful chapter.